Hey y'all, it's Megan. Welcome back to the channel. Glad y'all are here today. Come along, spend some time with us today. You're in for a treat. Andy's going to use his hay roller for the very first time, so we're going to see how that goes. And I'm going to be making a pumpkin pie. I made one several nights ago. We all loved it from some of our fresh pumpkin from the garden, so I'm going to show y'all how I do that. Anyways, guys, hope y'all enjoy the video.
Huh?
That's what kind of pen this uses.
Yeah, this takes a little different style. We'll pull up yonder and tighten it up. As some as you may guess, I'm getting ready to bale some hay this evening, hopefully, if it dries enough. There's a good breeze blowing and it's sunny, so I think the hay's going to be ready to rake this evening and be able to put in a bale. But as most of you know, if you've been following us for a while, in years past I've been relying on my daddy to do my baling for me. And you know, that's been great. That's been fine. I honestly have enjoyed him being able to do it for me. But you know what? I decided it was time for me to be able to do it for myself. So I picked up a baler a couple months ago, and well, I got it right after we finished up with our with some of our fall cutting we done, and I haven't had an opportunity to use it since. Picked it up from a local guy. It looked like it was in pretty good shape. Lots of people around here have these Heston 540s. These are very popular balers here in my area. There was several dealers around for Heston back in the day, so I don't think parts or anything like that will be an issue with them. But me personally, I've never used a baler like this. Daddy has a fancy baler. It's got the big computer screen inside the cab of your tractor that tells you what all you need to do to make that bale pretty. This one right here, every bit of it is manual. All of it is manual. It's got a manual tie on it. You know, it tells you when it's full by the gauge up there on the by this gauge right here. Once this gauge reaches down here, it's full. Then this is your tie, so you know, like this arm right here runs across the bale when you've got a full chamber, and this will gauge where in the bale, you've got your string wrapping at the time. So all that's manual. Everything on it is manual. And that's fine and dandy. I really like that because you know what that means? It means it's easy to fix. You don't have all these fancy electronics to go bad, and I like stuff like that. However, when you use one of those fancy balers like Daddy's got with the big monitor and everything, it can tend to spoil you, and that's the only thing I've ever baled hay with. So this evening may get kind of interesting because we're probably going to have some lopsided bales. They're probably going to be ugly. I don't know what they're going to look like. I hope they come out just plumb beautiful, but we'll see when we get there. My neighbor across the hill over here had a patch of grass over there that another guy usually cuts. Well, he didn't cut it this fall, and I just asked him if I could cut it, just basically so I could try my baler out. And I could use the extra hay as well, but I just basically wanted to try out my baler. It's only about 2 acres of grass, so it's nothing huge, you know, so I can at least get the feel for it before I get turned loose into like several acres of grass. I'm looking forward to this evening. I'm going to say by the way the wind's blowing, that hay's probably going to be dry a little bit later on, and I'm hoping I can go rake it here in about, I don't know, about 30 minutes to an hour. So we'll get that all checked out. So before I get to doing anything though, I've got to grease this baler. The guy I bought it from looked like he done a really good job of keeping the maintenance up on it, but you know, I want to grease it before I take it to the field, and you know, I don't think there's a lot of grease points on this baler. We've got the drive shaft to grease. I'm going to put some grease on that ball under there where this thing mounts to. We've got fittings up behind this panel, up there on top. So, and everything on this side too. But I don't think there's a whole lot to greasing this baler. Most of the bearings in it are actually sealed bearings, which means they're just contained in their own grease inside the bearing, and you can't actually add grease to it. So in some ways, that's a good thing, because that means I ain't got to grease the thing before I go to the field. I've just got random spots here and there that I've got to grease. I'm going to put a little bit of lubricant on these chains in here, but for the most part, he's got these greased up really well. I ain't really got to do a whole lot to this, especially no more than I'm aimed to bale this evening. Hold this for me.
Did he say they're dry ones or they're wet?
The bearings is sealed bearings, but everywhere you got a grease, it's got a little white grease gun picture to show you.
So tonight I'm going to show y'all how I make my pumpkin pie. I made one several nights ago. Andy absolutely loved it. I loved it. Best pumpkin pie I've had in a long time. And I made it from these little, I think Andy called them sugar pumpkins that we grew. These did really well for us. So I wanted to show y'all tonight how I make it, and hope you'll try it too. It's very easy, and I'm going to cheat a little bit. I know how to make pie crust. I'm using a frozen crust tonight though. But the first thing we want to do is, I'm going to cut open my pumpkin. And we got to get the guts out of it, just like if you were carving a pumpkin. One of these little pumpkins were enough to make me one pie. Plus I had a little extra. And if I have more extra this evening, I'll show y'all what I did with that too. And I know you can roast pumpkin seeds and eat them that way too. I've done that in years past. They're okay. We don't eat them enough or like them good enough for me to go through the trouble of making them. But you can tell a lot of these eaten pumpkins, they don't have the slimy guts quite like a jack-o'-lantern. Now we're going to put about 1 inch of water in our pot here. We're just going to work in our pumpkin pieces. Now you can do it this way, you can roast it in an oven. Either way, it does not take long at all doing it this way. So that's just all personal preference on how you want to do it. Cover that up. Let it go till it's fork tender.
One cool thing about it is we have little white grease gun pictures everywhere there's a grease fit. See? So I just have to look for those and I can find all my fittings. And it's out of grease. Every time I pick up a grease gun, it's out of grease. Because it's had blue grease in it before. It's got red grease in it now.
I bet blue grease looks so good.
Huh?
Is there any difference between red grease and blue grease?
I don't know. Some of it's supposed to be better than the others. Shoo. You get that out of the way?
Wait, is that a new one?
Yeah. You see what I done? I opened the wrong end first. I don't know what I was thinking. I knew that didn't feel right.
You're so crazy. Justin, what happened?
Nothing.
They said nothing.
There you go.
I need to watch. That's what it was. I didn't need.
Well, it don't matter how you do it. You're going to get grease all over you. Never fails.
That's the only way.
There it goes. This is the hinge that the back gate moves on.
Alright, so we're going to check our pumpkin here. See, it's good and tender. So we're going to get the skin off and into the bowl. And I've let it cool a little bit, so I just kind of pinch it. And you can kind of just scoop that pumpkin right out of there, just like that. You're going to need around 2-ish cups of pumpkin. And I really like the texture of pumpkin pies made with actual pumpkin instead of the canned pumpkin. Just to me, the texture is so much better. But that's personal preference, of course. But you want that pumpkin good and done so you can mash it real easy for your pie. Right there looks pretty close to 2 cups. We're just gonna mash that up. Now we're gonna add in, I'm gonna do 1.5 cups of cream from the raw cow's milk. But you can also do like a 12-ounce can of evaporated milk, that'll work. Or 1.5 cups of heavy cream. But I have the cream on the cow's milk readily available, so that's what we're going to use. We're going to pour that into our mixture. We're also going to add in 2 eggs. Three-fourths of a cup of brown sugar. Around a half a teaspoon of salt. About a half a teaspoon of nutmeg. And half-ish teaspoon of cinnamon. I usually add a little bit more. I like cinnamon. You also should put a little ginger, about a half a teaspoon in here. I ain't got none right now, so we won't today. Now, let's get all this mixed together. We're going to pull out our handy dandy frozen pie shell. We're going to fill that up kind of close, pretty close to the top. And we're definitely going to have some left over here. We're going to pop this in a 400-degree oven for around 40 to 50 minutes.
So here behind me is the hayfield I'm going to be doing today. Like I said, not too big. We got roughly about 2 acres of grass here. It's round the hill right here, up to the top, and then back down that fence over there. There's a good little strip that you can't see from right here. But it's dried out pretty well today. I mean, it looks good. We still got, like that right there, I know that looks green, but it's actually dried up green, and that's a good thing. Like, you want that in hay, to dry up green, because the faster the hay dries, if it dries up green, that means it dried fast, and that means you've captured most of those nutrients that was in the hay. So the longer it stays out here in the sun, bleaches it, the more nutrients you lose during that drying process. But this was some good short hay. So it's going to make some pretty hay. However, short hay don't always make the prettiest round bales. So me being my first time of using this baler, and I'm baling short hay, I don't know what kind of bales we're going to end up with. I hope we have some pretty ones, but I guess time will tell on that. I'm going to be using Megan's daddy's old tractor here. You know, this is the one that Jacob rode in the parade. And I'm going to start calling this one Jacob's tractor. So y'all ever hear me refer to Jacob's tractor, it's this one right here.
over here. The other day when I did this, I was like, you know what? I ain't throwing this away. I don't feel like making another pie. Made some killer, like, bread. Make it just like zucchini bread, except using the pumpkin filling. So we're gonna add us, let's start with about 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. We're gonna see how far this gets us. About 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. And we're gonna go ahead and kind of get that combined. We'll see what our texture looks like and see if I need more flour or not. This is kind of a play it by ear. I believe that's enough. That looks pretty good. Throw in a little vanilla. Around a 1/2-ish cup of, that's melted lard, but you can use vegetable oil, whatever you got. And of course, the star of the show, grease me up a bread pan here. Pour in our mixture. And I'm gonna stick this in the oven too. The other day it took it about as long as it took the pumpkin pie. I just test it just like I do my zucchini bread. When my knife came out clean, then it was done. There we go.
I tell y'all what, that hay right there is ready. It is dry. Just look at the fall colors, y'all. It is beautiful. The colors are beautiful right now, y'all. Y'all have heard me say plenty of times before, I love this time of year. It's beautiful outside. We've got beautiful weather, and it feels great out here. Like it doesn't get any better than what we've got right now. But I think I'm gonna leave this laying here for probably, I don't know, 30 minutes to an hour, because I did kick up some spots out in there that had still had some green grass in it. It was like matted down to the ground. I give those time to start drying out before I actually come over here and try to bale this. And for those of you who actually pay attention to a lot of this stuff, you'll notice that I just went out and back on this hayfield with the rake. Normally I make 2 circles and then go back and make bigger windrows, but that particular baler, it's a small baler. It's got a small pickup on it that picks up the hay, and where I've never used it, I don't know just how big of a windrow I can pick up with that thing. So for now, I'm just gonna go this out and back and see how this works. And if I see I can pick up bigger windrows than that, then what I've got here, I'll probably end up, next spring when I use it again, I'll go 2 rounds like I always do, and then come back around with to break the windrow away from it. But this has turned out to be some really nice hay. I hope they turn out to make some really nice bales. I'm a little bit nervous. I'm not going to lie. I'm nervous about using this thing for the first time, but it'll be all right.
All right, I just got my bread out. Looks just like the zucchini bread, but it's got a little different taste. It's really good. And my pie. Let me get it out. I've got to check it. See if it's done. So the best way to check a pumpkin pie to see if it's done is to go about 1 inch away from the crust. Stick your knife in. You want it to come out clean. So I've got a little bit there on the edge, but nothing actually down on my knife. So that pumpkin pie is done. Let's wipe that off. Check my bread. Came out clean. So like I told y'all, they took about the same amount of time. So ended up my pie took around the 50-minute mark. Every time I've ever made one, the timing is always a little different. So you just have to kind of start keeping an eye on them. So since we're having such a kind of a hectic evening this evening, I'll be making my regular old tacos like y'all see me make all the time. We're getting ready to head over to the Hayfield. Andy's gonna go roll this hay, and I want to see him use his new hay roller. So after that, we'll come back and I'll fix some tacos. And you know, I know it seems like y'all probably think we eat tacos all the time, and we eat them a lot. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, they're so easy to make, so quick, and they're so good. So on nights that I really don't feel like fixing a full course meal, usually tacos is the answer. There's y'all a little close up. It looks wonderful. I wish y'all had smell-o-vision, because it smells delightful in here.
Well, it's about to be on here. Megan had to come watch my first attempt ever at baling hay with this thing. I told her I was a little bit nervous.
But I ain't never seen nothing Andy couldn't do, so
I don't know.
It might take you a minute to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean the first one or two may be a mess. I think I've already got it adjusted right. I had to let the pickup head down, so I guess I'm gonna give it a go.
Quite a bit of hay right here.
Yeah, and it is pretty.
Yeah.
Where it had so much short grass underneath of it, that short grass was just beautiful grass. But
it's gonna work out just fine.
Ain't but one way to find out.
That's right.
Well, I wish Megan could have caught this on camera, but see, didn't quite go as planned. We got two rolls. The other one's up there in the middle of the field, and it actually looks a lot better than this one. I realized on this one I didn't put quite enough string, but the stringing mechanism didn't work like I thought it was going to work. But once I used it one time, I seen how it was going to work, and so the second roll up there actually looks pretty good. I was proud of that roll. But when I raised the gate up to let that roll out, I had two belts right here wide up on me. And under here, for some reason, under this roller, there's a big old wad of hay that's got up under that roller and string. For some reason, there's string around it too. I have no idea why it would have done that. And it makes me wonder if somehow that didn't get caught under there and put too much pressure on these belts and cause it to break. So I don't know what happened right there. I have no idea what caused this, because this is out of my league. I'm just gonna have to tear it apart, put them back together, because what happened, the laces that hold the belts together pulled out. I mean, they just simply pulled out. The belt didn't break or nothing. The lacing itself just pulled out. And so the guy we bought this from had put new lacing in it, and you can see where these have all started to pull out on this end. He had put new lacing in it, and I'm wondering if maybe he didn't use the right stuff or what, because they shouldn't have pulled out that easy, I wouldn't think. But I don't know. I don't know. So here it is. Sun's going down. We got two bales of hay done, and I got a whole nother pile of hay out here on the ground.
Look what stuck to your magnet.
This one, I was wondering where it went. I seen it fall, and I was trying to find it so it wouldn't go in a tire, and it just landed on my magnet.
Well, it's just one of them things, and comes with the territory.
Well, things were going so good, I was thinking to myself, you know, on that first and second roll there, I was like, this is going to be all right. And then this happened.
Well,
that's what you run into when you're dealing with hay.
You'll get it figured out.
I'm just going to see if I can't cram these up in here. And then...
luckily, we're not too far from home.
No, we ain't far off from home. But I'll see if I can cram them up in there and then shut the gate on them so they don't fall out. Because I do have to drive down the road a little ways.
They gonna stay?
Maybe. Let me shut the gate. Did they go?
It'll work. You got one sticking out.
Oh, that'll be okay.
Well, unfortunately, when you work with farm equipment, you're eventually going to have broke equipment, and happens to the best of us. But, time to get our tacos going. See, I knew I was making a quick, easy supper for some reason. So I got a little bacon grease in my pan. Chop me up some peppers here. These are peppers that I just went out and got from our raised beds. You know, we left those few pepper plants out there. And, well, I'm going to be out there getting fresh peppers as long as I can so I don't have to break into my frozen ones until I absolutely have to. That's one way, y'all, I can get by, you know, with not canning thousands of jars of stuff or freezing a bunch of stuff. You know, I need to put up enough stuff to last me till the next season. Now, of course, if I was prepping for the end of times, which I have my own feelings about that, it would probably look a little different, but I don't consider myself a prepper. We eat fresh as long as we can and break into the preserved stuff when we have to, when there's no other option. I'm gonna go ahead and throw my peppers in first. Let them start softening up just a little bit before I throw my meat in here. Go ahead and throw in a couple pounds of hamburger. Some minced garlic there. Salt. Black pepper. Smells amazing. All right, we got my super easy tacos and pumpkin pie for dessert.
Yeah, boy.
I made some more of that pumpkin bread that you like so good too with my leftover pie
Did
stuff.
you?
Yeah.
That'd be good. That pumpkin bread works good for breakfast.
And I went and got a fresh bell pepper and a fresh banana pepper. That's what's in there.
So there's a fresh one on our plants down there?
Oh my gosh, you should see the bell peppers.
Really?
Yeah. On the one plant, the one that's on the far side, not the one close to the house. But the one that's on the far side is doing it to it. And then this is my salsa.
Your homemade salsa.
Yep, it makes these tacos, I think. There we go.
Yep. And, you know, I was just talking off camera. I've actually, since y'all saw us on camera here, I've pulled the belts out of the roller here, and I'm actually going to go try to put them back together tonight and hopefully give it another shot tomorrow. But, I told Megan, I said, it's good that this happened now.
Right.
Because I've only got just that little. And that was my whole plan anyways, was just to have a little patch of hay on the ground to try it. And
before the spring rush
gets here, and I've really got to go. So I think I'm going to try to rig this thing back together enough to get that over there baled. And this winter, I'm actually thinking I'm going to put brand new belts on it.
I told him on the camera a while ago, I said, when you have farm equipment, you also get broke equipment. So
You do. And that's part of buying used equipment, was because honestly, when I went and looked at the baler, but it was a good price. But when I looked at the baler, everything on the baler is in extremely good shape. But the guy had relaced those belts, and to me, it just didn't look right. And I just didn't think they looked right, but I didn't know.
You didn't know enough to say, no, they don't look right.
Yeah, I didn't know what one's supposed to look like. And so...
But the guy, he probably didn't know.
And he may not know it either. I'm not blaming it on him. I'm not blaming it on him at all. But anyways, that's just the risk you take with used equipment. And I'm not going to say that part of it breaking wasn't user error. I don't know that yet.
Right.
I may have done something myself wrong because there was hay watered all up around that roller.
I know.
So I don't know if I done something to cause that or not.
You're out of my league.
I know.
You're out of my league.
I need to talk to another fellow over here that's got a roller just like mine and see what he says.
Yeah.
And see if I am doing something wrong.
Well, here we are the next day and attempt number 2. Andy worked till late last night. Him and Jacob and his daddy trying to fix the hay roller. And well, I come over here to assess the situation. How's it going?
So far, so good. I mean, fingers crossed on that, but I've made 3 bales so far, and you learn a lot when you have to work on something. And so at this point now, I'm almost 100% sure that what happened last night was user error. Because I've learned since, after talking to a guy that's got one of these locally, you have to cut the PTO off when you raise that back door to let the bale out. I didn't know that. And a matter of fact, the guy that I bought this from told me that he didn't cut the PTO off. So I don't know what's going on there, but anyways, I've cut the PTO off on these 3 bales here. And so far, so good. I haven't had any more belts break. So it was actually, once we got the mess out of there, fixing it wasn't terrible last night. Now, I won't say it was the easiest thing I've ever done, but it definitely was not as bad as it looked once we got everything tore apart. But yeah, so far I am tickled. All I know is it apparently wasn't meant for us to bale hay last night. For some reason or another, it was not meant to be last night, because so far today, it's almost like I've come to the field here with a different perspective. Like now, I know because of my mistakes yesterday, I've done things just a little bit different today, and it seems to be working. I better quit bragging about it though, because I'm not done yet.
Yep.
So,
I ain't walked up there and looked at them, but this one already looks better than the ones you spit out yesterday.
You can see that I've got a lot more string on here, because now I've learned how the stringing works. Because see, y'all, I had to learn all this. The baler that Daddy has, all of that's automatic. It does it for you. When you get the baler full, you push the button and it takes care of all of that. There's nothing to it, like no nothing. I mean, it's literally, it's idiot proof. That's a good way to put it. This thing, you literally have to do all of it. You have to lay the string out on it. You have to do it all, and that was a learning curve for me, because I've never had to do that before with a baler. So I'm slowly figuring it out here though, and I'm learning just how long I have to let the string out there to put enough string on the bale. But it does. These look a lot better. But like I said, I better quit bragging about it yet. I'll start bragging when I get this field done. Well, I done got through baling it, and I've got it strapped down to the truck here. I got one little baby bale. Look at this little guy. He's tiny, ain't he? I baled 7 bales over here today, 7 1/4, whatever you want to call that little one. And then I'd had 2 from yesterday, so it made a total of, might as well say, 9 bales. And some really nice hay. The bales turned out okay. This one on the back here is a little lopsided, but I still got some learning to do with that baler. But all in all, it turned out pretty good. I'm pretty proud of what I've accomplished here. You know, don't get me wrong, we've made our own hay for several years. I mean, I've made my own hay all my life, but like as me and Megan, you know, doing our own thing, we've made our own hay for several years now, but I've always had my daddy bale it for me. But just now knowing that I can do it all on my own now, like it's on my schedule, my time, and of course, if it breaks, it's on me too. But you know, it's just a good feeling to know that you can take care of yourself without having to rely on somebody else. I really like that. Anyways, that is what it is. Sorry we didn't get more footage of the actual baling than we did. We had some company while we was over here and just didn't get to really film it all. They were watching the baler work. They were kind of excited to see it too. So, you know, it's all good. We got it all done. Last night it looked like it was going to turn out kind of bad. I was having second thoughts about that baler, and then after today, I figured out that I think it was all operator error, and you know, it couldn't have went no better today. It went smooth as butter. So anyways, y'all, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you learned something like we always say, and y'all have a good one.